Once Galileo was sentenced to house arrest, he gradually went blind. He knew he was famous and important and smart. People at this level of performance, they know what they've offered. And he tragically said, basically, it's ironic that I am the person who has seen farther into the universe than any other human being ever has. I'm now confined to the space of my own body. And it's true. No one had ever seen this before that we know of. Maybe somebody in ancient China invented a telescope and saw the stars, the planets going around other planets, but we don't know. Galileo is the first one that is recorded as having seen these moons. He died the same year this gentleman was born. And Isaac Newton was the most unpleasant man of the lot. He didn't have a lot of friends, but he was bizarrely famous in his day. He was planetary-wide famous. And he was able to explain why Kepler and Tycho got what they did. He was able to put together the actual law of gravity that you study in grade 12, and it works to this day. The only change that's been made to the law of gravity was Einstein modifying it to allow black holes and things like that. But it's withstood more than 3 centuries with only the tiniest tweak on it, and it applies to everything in the universe. And it's the reason the universe holds together, that we have galaxies and things. As a very vain man, he was not very humble. He did say one thing in life: if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. And then, of course, your reaction is, there were giants back then and he controlled them? No. He's acknowledging Galileo and the others, that he's actually said, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did if it wasn't for these. And his vanity rivaled Kanye West's. So that's a pretty humbling thing for the man to say. What was the consequence for the church by banning Galileo's work and threatening him with execution? Well, this is the case of doing more harm to your own cause than you could possibly imagine. Scientists were horrified that this could happen to someone so great, and this convinced many Catholic scientists to stop researching in astronomy. And you will see a sudden change if you study the history of science, that you have names like Volta, Coulomb, right? Ampere. You have all these names that seem like they're coming from France, Spain, Italy, Catholics. And then suddenly their names vanish in the history of science, and it's now Newton, Gauss, even Copernicus is a name from further north in Europe. You suddenly see all of this science move to the northern part of Europe, because the Catholic scientists were scared out of it. How long did this go on for? The church did not take Galileo's work off the banned reading list until 1980. I was 16 years old at the time. Up until then, until 1980, the church maintained that a good Catholic could not read Galileo's work or hold that anything but the earth was in the center of the universe. Now, did every Catholic abide by that? No. But what you do see is a sudden reduction in the scientific output from a lot of the Catholic countries. So the church was effectively a government back then. What this is showing you is a government can ruin a climate that allows scientific progress. And if you think that's in the past, or it's only in the past that a government could say, no, that guy who's thinking for himself, kill him. What did you think ISIS was doing in the Middle East? Smashing museums, not letting girls go to school. And you think, oh, well, that's just some parts of the world. But the Prime Minister of Canada, Stephen Harper, when he didn't like what some of the scientists were saying about climate change, they wrote out an order saying scientists couldn't talk to the media if the scientists worked for the government. Scientists working for, say, Health Canada or the Environment Canada could not do interviews or publish things for the public until they cleared them with his office. They weren't threatened with death, but some of the ones that broke the rule were fired. So we still have this. It's very important if we want to progress, if we want to get better in the world. we must produce a climate for the scientists to thrive. If we don't, they run to another country and they build the great things for other people instead of us. And this is one of the reasons why many scientists try to get to the United States or England or Canada, because they may come from a country where it's like, hey, the marshal didn't like what you said. You need to go to the police station and talk about it. So we can still do that again. We can scare them away if we don't allow them their freedoms. So good science needs a democracy. All right, it needs open-minded people. And that's the real important part about this. Not so much who did what in the detail. It's you can't punish the truth.